Everybody back. Hi, how you doing, everybody? Welcome to Deep Dives in Crypto Corner with John and Jayse. Only that's not Jayse, that's Lisa. She
filling
is
in for the
filling
part of
in.
Jayse today.
Yes, she's going to be our crypto specialist.
Oh,
no, I'm only kidding.
Yeah, don't say that.
Yeah, Jayse had a prior engagement, but he'll be back next time. But I just wanted to ask. How was meeting Jayse in person for the first time, and Alexis too?
Yeah, I got to meet them both at the Journey to Truth conference, and that was the first time of meeting physically with him. And they're everything you think that they're going to be. So sweet, just genuine people. I really, really like them both a lot. Like I knew I did, you do, but wow, they're really cool people. So I they said, oh, too bad John wasn't here, and and everything, but Jayse did a presentation.
Yeah.
And it was so good. He did so good. Like I think he should get booked at more places,
I think I think he will. I think he's gonna it'll start to catch on because he's good. And he comes from the right spot too. He comes from a heart space, which is awesome, especially in anything to do with investments. You don't think that.
Yeah.
So
if somebody was really smart and they were doing a conference, they would book them both because they both have two separate kind of wheelhouses that they go into and they talk about, but they're both super, super smart, proficient in what it is that they're talking about, and just informative people, but also coming from that spiritual side. So
I remember.
That would be the ideal.
That's true with Alexis too, because she's really into the sun, and she was like had Alexis
instrumental.
All the time.
And my understanding and kind of feeling what I was feeling. So it was good. I was pleasantly surprised, but I knew that they were going to be awesome. So
I was. That sucked. I mean, I would love to be there and been there. But
Sunday we're going to go over some of the
we'll
go Grafton stuff. I mean, it's not going to be a whole show about it, but we're definitely going to touch on it, and I'll share some pictures and things like that. Yeah.
So what we're going to do? We're still going to do we'll do a crypto show instead of getting into kind of the weeds like Jayse and I do. What I want to more do is we're seeing more and more news come out on more exposure. What's going on in the financial world, the markets, why the volatility is taking place, what people believe, what they don't believe, what they think is bullshit, what they think is never going to come, what they, or there's so many, kind of areas of thought. And, and everyone wants to stay with their team and stay in an echo chamber. But what I would tell you is be open-minded, see what's resonating with you. Because I said, for me, she'll tell you, until I see some public stuff where people get down, I don't want to hear it anymore. I was going down that road too. But
in exactly what terms?
Just like with the quantums, the financial system, the money going gold back, the cabal not being in charge, still seeing a chemtrail in the freaking sky. And it's still just the media still peddling bullshit. I just after a while, you get to a point where and then when people are walking around, you look at a TED talk from Bill Gates, and he literally says, if we do a good enough job with vaccines and reproductive things, I'm just that the population could go from here to here. Like at a TED talk, that's like one of the most to do talks. If you can do a TED talk, that's like the pinnacle.
Right.
And so that's what he said. But then he also just said, and he came out, he said it, I didn't say it, he said it, that, I heard that, I watched the clip you sent me. But Bill Gates said that in 20 years, he wants to build the Gates Foundation is going to be dissolved, and he wants to give all his money away. And that's crazy timing. But that's when, you look at Trump and Elon and all the waste and the fraud and the waste that's been going on, and crimes, I guess, against humanity, and the people are going to have to pay. And when you hear things like that, that's a way different agenda than depopulizing, getting the population down, or all the good stuff he was trying to do for us. But when you start to see that, it's good news. And then there are things that are happening, like right now, that we never thought. We always, anytime you heard about a med bed, right, or anything to do with, say, what Tesla done way back when.
I'm not to interrupt you, but just before we get off on that too much, I also have I'm editing right now. I'm having a problem with my computer. I think I'm just gonna not edit the rest of my video and just put it up. But I have a interview with Arcturus Ra.
Oh yeah.
And we're specifically talking about his med bed that's a Cellwell that John and I both used. And, I've caught some flack on Facebook for talking about it in a positive way, because most people think the med bed thing hasn't come out yet and it's kind of BS, but we've used it. We did a show about it.
Yeah.
And I have an interview coming out with Rob probably within the next 48 hours. So look for that as well. He was an incredible human being.
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to your...
Yeah. Well, before we even get back to that, what I wanted to do is, since we are talking about that, we should pull up your site. Let's just knock that out and the book.
I'm gonna let you do it, because I always screw it up.
Oh, right.
I don't know why.
So,
I'm not good with it.
Yeah. So Lisa's website, Visions Beyond the Desert. I just want to pull this up because you can book a session with her.
At home, I think you gotta go to.
Yeah, and so this is the website for her, and then on here you could here you go. So you have a 30-minute session, a 1-hour session, and then the meditation. So I think you're going to do some more stuff with meditation. And listen, you could manifest and you could go through the ascension fine, if you're taking the right actions and all that stuff. It just, when you meditate, it's like a time that's like a force factor of 100 to get where you need to go, and to really start to build your own intuitive powers to be sovereign. So,
I think it's like the foundational aspect of starting to have that awareness, and you can move out of that, where I don't think everybody goes through, I don't at this point go through meditating, all the time and doing all those things. And once you kind of develop that muscle, then you kind of have the ability to connect in a deeper, more rich way than I think you can get to without those tools in your tool chest. So it's a really important component. I believe it's probably the catalyst for waking up abilities and trying to connect in that way. And then once you have that connection and how to that connection, it's not like that's your life now. It's not going to be where you're constantly, in a meditative state. It's just to build that muscle and get that going, and doing that. But my sessions also, we can talk about different things that come in. Sometimes it can be parallel lives that we've seen. Sometimes it can be guidance, and even ET stuff, which is fun.
Yeah.
When that kind of stuff comes in, we can look at blockages. You can talk about and ask questions about certain things. We'll see what we can get going on in your life, and then tools that you can use to kind of move through any of the stumbling blocks that you find yourself, having. So that's kind of what the readings would look like.
Yeah, and the feedback that she's been getting has been really been incredible from people who are actually intuitives themselves. So really, right.
Yeah. I've been really excited to kind of see, the support that we got, and also, a lot of kind of confirmation on some of the things that I've been getting. So so it's been a really fun thing to do. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, so that's good. And then you saw her book up there, which is
yours is up there too.
Yeah, and then
you got to share screen.
Oh yeah, yep. My book is up there, the Frequency Formula. It's the grab avoid codes, and that's great if you are meditating, even if you're not, but if you are meditating especially, it really puts a finer point on it where you can really zero in on what you exactly want to manifest and how you'd like your life to look. And I have about I don't know, 600 or so codes, and I loaded the back of that thing up with a lot of codes. That could be for anywhere from health, mental health, kids' health, to abundance, finances, spirituality, everything.
And if you've read the book, please write a review, just an honest review for him on Amazon, because it really helps to get the algorithms to see it more and get more people in front of it. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback from your book as well.
Yeah. So, and then the last thing I'll just say is I've been doing the John drop also, but that's going to be taking a little bit of a turn. So what I really want to move that to is going to be a self-development and sales kind of. It's definitely going to have that type of flavor going in, but I think it's really important, no matter what industry you're in, to learn how to
talk to people,
to sell, and not to do it in a way where you're bringing value to the market. And if you're not able to talk in a certain way and really show value in what you have, you're not going to be able to help the amount of people you should. So I think it's really important. And I don't think you should be, if you sell credit cards, just to keep teaching you how to sell a credit card. I think if you can develop yourself into being the best person you can be, you would sell
that's really your strong suit too.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, with the jobs that you've held, you don't talk about it too much, but you've been in charge of large teams of people that were, that's my phone, sorry, that were, that benefited and came back, and you changed a lot of lives, in a positive way. So to have you as a coach is a positive for sure. So I'm excited about what you're going to do with that. And I think that, everyday people can definitely benefit from it, no matter what you're doing. If you're dealing with people, it's a way to benefit, because you really have integrity with it, and you come from a place of truly, truly wanting to help. And that's the difference. You're not trying to sell a widget to somebody and just make money for you. You want it to always be a win-win, and you want it to really benefit people, and you listen. So I think that the tools that you give are really good.
Yeah, and especially where we are now, because I sold in the old way back in the 90s before the internet, and now with digital and where it's gone now, and and it's like from cold calls to clicks, and how to sell in the digital age. And when you hey Phil, how you doing? When you compare the two schools of old school and new school selling, it is very different. But they're all going to be some constants, and so you're going to want to watch that. Yeah, I missed you too, man. I wish I was there. It would have been so much fun hanging out with you guys. But hopefully we can get together soon. I
keep inviting him to come to Nevada and do some hiking with us. So hopefully his schedule will permit, and we can.
Got to go up to the cave. I ain't going in there, but we can go up there.
I totally want to. I got to see if I can get up there. We'll see.
Yeah. So but just getting back to, we'll get back into the crypto here. When you look at all the markets, right? So when you look at from anything from the real estate market to the bond market, crypto market, stock markets, we're seeing a lot of volatility, right, in the markets. And still, when you look at the bond market, you still see interest rates high on those, which is showing that there's still a little bit of worry about inflation, right, being there. Although prices are coming down, we can all see it, right? We're paying a little, we're still paying more than we were, but we're paying less than the recently. So we can see it come down a little bit, but there's still some concern. And once that concern starts to dwindle, we'll start to see the bond interest rates kind of fix itself. And as they come down, the bond prices will go up. So it'll be nice for investors who were in there and it was inverted and the bond markets did crash. If you were holding out, which probably should have been if you were in bonds, at least you'll get back kind of at least on par, and the bonds will act like they're supposed to, as kind of more of a conservative, bringing your portfolio to more of a conservative, not just all in stock that can be a little more volatile. And that's what makes everything crazy. And then you have the shorter term bonds with a higher yield than the long term bonds. That should never be. So everything's kind of still out of whack. But you see everything is moving under the Treasury. The Federal Reserve was moved under the Treasury, right? So
interesting.
And that was done a while back.
Yeah.
It was moved under their control. So we don't really need the Fed. It could just, the Treasury can handle most of that stuff. So that's what I think is going to start to happen. That condensing of what Trump and Elon are doing. I think that's going to be the ultimate goal. Is going to be goal, and I think that it looks like he just went into the IRS building, Elon, and they're going to do some auditing for the IRS, which
is amazing.
That they're saying that the amount of money they're going to find there is going to be
incredible.
Nuts. Yeah. So
well, if you even just take people that are getting, income tax returns and stuff, the people that have passed away, duplicates, babies and things like that. When you just take all of that off of there, look how much they were, finding and saving and all of that. So there's got to be a lot of things that we don't even think of, for businesses and things like that, that we're not even aware are a thing. And imagine.
And you got to realize too, it's not Elon. If the people he's hired, those kids, I call them kids, those younger, they are geniuses in what they do.
Yeah.
And they're not going in there looking through books. That's all AI, and it will find everything. And so, which is why the people they were freaking out so much, because there's going to be a lot found that they don't want out. Because once the one thing tumbles, then people are going to start talking, and I think it's going to be great, And whether you watch it or not, I'm coming to the I'm coming to the understanding and making peace with the fact that I really am getting to the point where I want that all to happen. I would love to see it just for internal gratification, but it's not really important to me anymore. It's more important that things get fixed. That.
What do you mean? You mean like
the financial system gets fixed?
Finding all the fraud that was going on isn't as important as just fixing it now.
Well, no, finding it's important. Me knowing that where it's and who did it and making sure to see them get something's got to happen.
Retribution, kind of stuff.
Yeah, because it just brings me back to when I was like how I felt when I was younger. And that's not the way you should feel. I feel like you should feel now. Like you want to okay, you did this to me. Now I'm going to do this to you. You did it. Now I'm going to get you back in spades. Now, it's just like, it's a ridiculous thing. It feels like when the gangs fight each other, kill one of us, we'll kill 10 of you. It's just, and then it never stops. So what I would like is that people straighten out, people do whatever they do to have to pay penance for what they did. And I wish them well, and that things get fixed, because ultimately, if Trump had said he was going to use the money to build some of it. Some of the waste is going to some of the illegals, right? That housing them and all the money they're getting. That's going to now be shifted into building homes for homeless veterans.
Yeah.
And so, if you can't be happy about that, if the one person who complains about that, that's the one time I would say, give myself. It's okay to want something bad to happen to that person. That's the only time. Because how do you?
Well, you still don't want anything bad to happen to them. You just kind of recognize that they're
mildly bad.
Oh,
a little pain, like maybe a dentist that's not really the most scrupulous and does some drilling on teeth he shouldn't do it on, like something like that. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, but when you see a veteran on the street, if it don't,
anyone on the street, but especially veterans, we should be taking such good care of them.
You imagine some of that.
I like a lot of the things that they're talking about doing with the veterans, with the Social Security for, seniors and stuff like that. They paid their whole life. Figure it out for them. They shouldn't have to be paying for that. And I wouldn't even mind if they weren't paying for, their health care and things like that anymore. I just feel like
that's what he wants to do. And not to pay. They shouldn't pay tax. Why should they? A lot of them are okay. So we have personal, right? We have a personal that we can attest that what the military does to people who are in
our son. Yeah.
Okay, and so they go through a very, very rough time, and there are levels. So. There are some levels that people that saw some stuff that I don't know how they can continue, and but there's
not talked about.
Yeah, and it's not, and you know what, and they don't feel like they can, because they feel like if it gets on record, they can't when they come to civilian life and this and that, and there's all these things, and then they, I don't like a lot of things that happen with them, but anyway, when you have a personal testimony, I know some people don't, you could be a little disconnected. Even when I didn't, to be honest, I had a very strong connection to that. That was one of the things that could get me kind of emotional, can get me emotional even in one of those movies, like those are our guys fighting for us, and women. It's wild that they're not taken care of more, and it's great that this is what they're going to do. So I'm all for that. That's great. And then getting back to when you start to see this, I think the reason why I'm bringing that stuff up is because I think that'll. How you doing, Annette? Is that I think that all it all comes back to us as a collective because I think for the most part there's the loud, ridiculously stupid minority that says all the dumb shit, right?
But they get back, you guys.
They get a lot of like airplay, and so it's like, oh my god, half the country's insane, and it's not. It's a very small percentage of nut jobs, right? Now, but when you look on the other side, most everybody, when they see and go like, okay, so people who don't come from America, of course we try to treat everyone right. But when it comes to resources, it's got to go to Americans first, especially veterans, right? But Americans should
seniors,
it's our
veterans.
Money. Yeah, we're paying into the system. That's where it should stay. That's it. There's no other discussion. That's it, right? And so that's where it should be. And when that starts to happen, because emotions run the market, 85%. Right? Yeah, your emotions run the market. So when there's people get nervous and panic, the markets go down. Right? I mean, it's the biggest tell. You can have fundamentals and companies coming out and they're skyrocketing fundamentals, made more money than ever. They still go down in value. Why? Because if the emotion of the collective is down, is in panic, or is in paralyzed mode because they're scared, you can see where the market comes down, or it'll stay stagnant. If it was going to really skyrocket, it'll stay stagnant. It won't go nowhere. So I think all of this to say, finding all the fraud, waste, and abuse of money, and not only just finding it, because you could say, okay, you found it. What are you going to put it in your pockets now, right?
Yeah, reallocation.
They're reallocating it, but to things that make sense, that can make sense, even if it's not coming to me. I could go like, okay, yeah, give it to that one. They need it. That's fine, because it's and I think that when that happens, it kind of you feel like America is the America that we once believed it was, and that's where it's going to be. Not only that, but better. And so when you see that, when you see some of the health things that are coming out, like you were saying, what Pepsi Cola is looking to change some stuff with the dyes, and so is In-N-Out has said that they want to with those colored dyes that they're bad.
Yeah.
Chemtrails, now, the trails that they're doing now, that's going to be criminalized. DeSantis is actually doing really great things in Florida. One of them, no more fluoride in drinking water.
And no more geoengineering from planes. Like that makes me want to move there in and of itself.
Yep.
Not for nothing, but you feel it when I don't care what people say, oh, it's just, contrails or whatever. Okay, well, how come I get a headache? Yep. How come I get tired? How come I get grumpy? Right? There's stuff in, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Your sinuses bother you. It's like,
so my point is, when you see that and you have a general public that the emotions are either going to be neutral, looking for good things to do, right? Looking to help, and everyone's going to look to help other people, because no one really, I don't think anyone minds spending $1 that they feel is going to, unleash that dollar to really be worth $100 because you're helping somebody else, and they're going to be homed, and then they can clean themselves up, get clothes, go on an interview, and get a job, right? And then now they're making the economy move a little faster. But this is happening on a wider scale, right? And it's going to ripple effect. Why don't you take the sound off?
I'm trying. Every time I do, see?
Yeah, over here, you got to do it this side.
Oh, thanks, honey.
I don't know why. I took me a while to. But anyway, my point is with the market's run on emotion, and we're in a good spot. All those things, although we don't think that they are directly, affecting the markets, they are. And it's not just the money injection in the economy that's going to help. It's not just more people in jobs and 401ks and money keep being. That's a part of it. But it's if emotion runs the markets, right, and then everyone's feeling great about America, they're out more. People are talking to each other about what they're doing,
and you spend differently too.
And you spend more. Everything starts to work in a way where everything is spinning on all cylinders. So, right now we are going through a transitional time. Now, Trump did say we're going to go through a period of uncomfortability, and we have to. And it was that Alex Bloom said it in a great way. We were used to, like your body is used to a drug, right? And you stop taking that drug, your body is screaming for that drug, right? Because you're going through a detox or a withdrawal from it because you're used to it. That's what's happening in our country now, right? The markets are, everything is screaming. Where is the corrupt money? Where the money for bribes, is that not there no more? Why is this happening? Why is China not doing this? Why is all these things are happening? It's like almost like a body going through a detox. But the things that, and it's really what Trump is doing is he's ripping the Band-Aid off, and he's the tariffs, and that's why you'll see a tariff, and he'll go like, we're going to put a 400% tariff on Mexico, and it shows up, and then it's gone the next day. And then there's look what Japan has a 700% tariff on our dairy, or right? That's why our farmers can't sell anything in Japan, and that's supposed to be our ally, right? But we have so we're going to put a 500% tariff on Lexus, right? Let's say, so you can't sell Lexus in America no more, and we're the honeypot of the world, so that's going to hurt them more than us. And God bless you, right? But then all of a sudden, it's not there, right? And it is there, then it's not there. So, and what that causes
is a negotiating point.
Exactly, and so but it's causing volatility, and what it does is it gives ammunition, right? That's where free speech comes in. Is you can do all these things, but free speech comes in where you can have people fearmonger and say, oh, he's not doing this with no thought. He's dumb. He became a billionaire, an accident. He tripped and fell, and he hit his head on $1 billion. Right? That's just what he did. And so, but he's in there, and he is thinking so many moves ahead that the stuff he's saying now, that people think he's crazy. It's because that's down the road already. Like what's happening now? He already said 6 months ago, or 4 months ago, or 2 months ago, and they called him stupid and dumb, and why would he say something like that? And now it's all coming to fruition. So
you think it's based on the fact that we were talked to about a narrative of how these kind of things work, how diplomacy is supposed to look, and all of those things, and it wasn't just him, but it was also the UK and different places that were all talking about, this is how you do this. Mm-hmm. So then we're looking at something that looks different from that, and we're like, this isn't how you do this. You're doing it wrong. You're not but he's getting results that we like, and mm-hmm. It's interesting that or the potential for results that will benefit us in the long run. But people are so caught up again, like his first term, in the way he does it and the way he talks, that it's almost like they can't allow for the fact that it's almost like the evil genius, like he's maybe it looks rough around the edges, and it's not something that looks like diplomacy the way that we know it. But what did that kind of diplomacy get us?
Yeah. Well,
in the past,
if you look at it, he was doing an interview. I can't remember who it was. It may have been Oprah, but it was way back. I think it was in the 80s.
I think it was Oprah.
And she goes, "Are you going to run for office?" Blah blah. And he was like, "It's a mean business. Yeah. It's just a mean, dirty business." And he goes, "If I had to, I have no problem serving my country." But he goes, "It's a mean business." And so the fact that he's coming into this knowing he has to be, and he already served one term knowing, I tried to be nice. I tried to get people who didn't agree with me. I put them into positions, and all they did was stab me in the back multiple times, and then try to get my son on treason, right? To bankrupt me, my family. I mean, this is what they literally just tried to do to me. And so, not that he's doing anything crazy. He's just saying, okay.
Believe me, if they had major stuff on him,
it would have been done.
It would have been done. They want him so bad. Yeah. If there was really a there. There's no way he would have gotten out. They're biting at the bit. Yep. And they've got the whole world looking at it. It's not mm-hmm. just him, I'm sure China's looking, and even people that we look at as allies, I'm sure they're looking at it too, because life would be a lot easier if we were handing out the amounts of money that we have been handing out and giving, manufacturing companies overseas and all of the things that he's trying to do to bring us back, if that went away, even if they are allies. So mm-hmm. I really think that if there was something there that they could get him on, they would do it in a second.
Yeah, and I think any of the people who are talking subversive or against the mainstream and stuff, and you start to see these charges coming up, and I don't know none of the other people at all, but even the brothers, the Tate brothers, I have no idea about. They could be horrible human beings. I don't know, right? But I look at.
Are you talking about Andrew Tate?
Andrew Tate.
Oh, okay.
They went in and they went back in their life. They put them in jail for 3 months without they found the man, and now they're going to go look for the crime, right? And I guess the UK told Romania to do that. But my point is they combed through their lives and talked to 1,200 people that were interacting. None of them said anything. In fact, they found that witnesses were lying, which is why the case in Florida got dropped. And you look at it, if you just heard the news, you would think like, these fucks moved to Romania to sex traffic women, and like, that's what you would think. But because of what he says, that's the Matrix, that's I mean, he goes full into that, and he's fully on board with kind of way more how we're thinking. He Trumpian, supported Trump, the whole thing, and he's on yelling about it. And he has who they want. They want to control young men, right? They want to feminize and control them, because that's who can cause a problem, right? Women, if you guys can go and you put your little pea hats on, right? And you could go and yell, but really, if they say stop, you're not going to go fight anybody.
That's what Cliff High says.
Yeah, but young men will. They'll start to fight.
Cliff High talks about how if you really want to take down a culture, any culture, you go after the men, not the women, because, it's that support system, that women, we support each other, but men are the ones that will be willing to go and physically fight, and die for these causes, and to protect the women and children.
And then what happens to the women and children if the men get killed? The women find the luckier the women, right? Find the new guys who came in and just killed their men.
Yeah.
They'll be under that man, whether they don't love him or whatever, but that's their survival. That's because they're going to be their protection for them, and hopefully hope they don't get their offspring killed. But to protect their kids, they got to go to the next person. So, but the men will, even knowing that'll happen, they don't go, "That's what you're going to do. I'm out." Right? This is what I do. I'll stand here. I got to take an arrow or a bullet, whatever. We'll do it. But once they do that and they feminize the men, and they can walk around with beards and lipstick and all that and stuff, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse. And Andrew Tate, what he tells young guys is, go to the gym, try to make as much money as you can, be as strong as you can. He tries to get them into the cage to fight, to get courage, to learn to fight. He goes, and like they also, even Jordan Peterson, you should be able to do absolute violence and do a lot of damage, but control yourself. Because, the ones who are emotional, can't control themselves, those are the men that are dangerous. That's what we don't want. But you want to be the warrior in the garden, not the gardener in the war, right? So that's like the difference. And he preaches that, and he has he was the most Googled man or whatever. So my point being, just like Trump, they come through that guy's his stuff so much that Paul Manafort got in trouble 10 years ago not doing taxes. That's how much they come through Trump. It was nuts that guy didn't do anything wrong or illegal. That's amazing. Yeah. Even the mob podcasts, Sammy the Bull, they said we tried, we couldn't even get close to him because of who he had around him. We couldn't get close. He would not take bribes. He would not pay. He didn't do it. And so my point being is that this is, kind of what they're doing, and why I was like, there's no way they're guilty. Otherwise they would have got caught. For 3 months, you comb through their stuff, you're going to find something. I mean, I'm probably 99% of the people, you're going to find some crazy shit, if you comb through their stuff. But anyway, when you see all this stuff, and then you see it all stopping. So as sure as I was in 2016, as soon as I saw Trump coming down, I turned to her and I said, he's going to win.
You did say that, and I was like,
and I was okay. I was going for Ted Cruz. That's what I wanted. When I heard them talk, Ted Cruz was one I liked, right? And so, but I turned around. And I said, Trump is going to win. There's no way a man like that runs and loses. It's not going to happen. It's not in his DNA. He's not going to lose. And he didn't. And he went through a field of 15 seasoned Republicans that were gunning for him, except for Dr. Carson, who's a sweetheart, and now him and Trump are friends, right? But and they're all nice. And Marco Rubio, they got into it, but he works with him. Ted Cruz, I mean, because it is what it is. Like you said, it's a dirty business, and they know that. But my point being is, I am as sure about Trump winning in 2016, and he did, as sure as I am as to say there is no ifs, ands, or buts about the tariffs working. They will work. His bill passed, and this is not advice on any. This is just my opinion that I feel is a fact. And so it's because I just know I know what I know how he wouldn't do it if it was going to waste his time. or if he was rolling the dice. That's just not how he would do things. And it just don't make sense now because first of all, we're not privy to all the information. So he's not like a wizard. He's not Gandalf the Great, right? He's still a human being, but he is so used to thinking 10 steps ahead that he's playing chess when a lot of these leaders who are supposed to be heavy negotiators and destroyed our prior administration and back, they cannot deal with what he's doing because he's so many moves ahead that he puts them in positions where their countries will sustain such losses, and it would be on their head because all Trump wants to do is it to be fair for America, which means they can't screw us out of money anymore. So that's a lot of money not going to those countries, right, for no reason. They don't want that to happen. But really, when you look at it, there people are going to go, you really hurt our country because he just wants it to be fair. You can't even assign to a fair agreement. Like they would look, how bad you would look if you tanked your own country to go against Trump just because he said he wanted it to be fair. You can still sell your products. We're not going to ice you out. We're not going to sanction you. None of it. We want China to be amazing, but America is too, and you're just not going to screw us anymore.
Yeah.
Like if I was the leader of China and I was like, no, we're not doing that. And then China takes a dip, you'd be like, dude, are you an asshole? Like it just wanted to be fair. He's saying we could still sell our stuff there.
Yeah.
What is the problem? So he's putting them in the corner because you know what? He don't want there to be no more death of foreign soldiers, right? That's what he keeps saying. He wants like the wars to stop, right? And he did with India, Pakistan, he stopped. That could have been a nuclear. They both have nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
That could have been a nuclear problem. That stopped. Iran looks to be behaving. Everyone looks to
Syria.
Yeah, Syria. Everyone looks to be behaving, and
Look what he just did with South Africa. Was that crazy?
And that's the other thing. There is no fair to say what he has to say, but he said right to the person, and that's what
pulled out a video.
Yeah,
wow.
And he does what he needs to do but what is he trying to do though? He's trying to stop that
genocide
and a genocide. But what's the genocide about? Right? It's about they're going after the white farmers.
Yeah.
The
Boer, B-O-R-E.
Yeah.
I think they were Danish people that had come, but they've been there for generations and generations.
Yeah. But it's okay, like saying that if white people own that farm there, you can go there, right? Kill the men. They were raping the women, I would assume, and then you could just take it. It's yours. If you got it, you take it, and that's okay to do. So there's no defense of that, right? Because just like if it was happening here, that would never happen here. But the same way, if any marginalized group is getting acted on just based upon their ethnicity, race, or religion, the majority, and I mean the majority of like 95% of the people, you're gonna have 5% of people are always gonna be low lives and animals. That's how it is, right? But 95% of the people will stand up arm in arm and stop that.
They were showing a grave site with the white crosses, and there were like over 1,000
it's crazy
crosses that were on there, and Trump said, he's like, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, and they just let it go.
And then he had Elon Musk in there, which I thought was interesting because he's South African.
South African,
yeah. So it was interesting. And then I don't know if you saw, and it's not really about this, but did you see the video of Macron and the new UK Prime Minister? They had some other people at the table. Maybe we'll pull it up. I'll find it and pull it up for our Sunday. But there was a white baggie on the counter that Macron had at the table. Some press just walked in and surprised them, and they were at the table with some other people. And there was a white baggie with white substance inside of it, and the UK Prime Minister had what they said was a pipe in his hand that he was concealing. Then Macron stood up and grabbed the bag.
That is awesome. What's their numbers? Maybe we can hang out with them.
Ew.
I'm only kidding. But no, I'm saying, they need Hunter Biden over there. That'd be nice.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys saw that video, but maybe I'll see if I can find it for.
You know what? Because they're all we know. Well, at this point, we know the degenerates. Well, they're right. It's a degenerate. I mean, Putin says it best. And it is what it is. You would think that would be part of it, because if you can do that straight, the shit that they're supposed to be doing, you really got no soul. I mean, at least you can blame it on the drugs if they do, because I mean, what the hell, man? Can you imagine being normal? Yeah, normal minded and doing that shit. and not feeling bad about it, not feeling a certain way. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
You would have to be out of your mind on something. But anyway.
That was
But
crazy.
and last thing, I don't know, Annette, if you're still listening, the John Drop is going to help, self improvement, and kind of and sales, but it's more going to be on building yourself, and in this day and age. So if you like what some of the stuff that was going on, it's going to actually be just jam packed with that. But I wanted to tell you because I was thinking about you when I was thinking about the change, that it's something that you may really like. But all right, so getting past the market volatility, it's happening because of what Trump is doing, the back and forth with the tariffs, not knowing what's going on, and then it's allowing the mouthpieces to come in and still talk some shit. So, and it gets certain people, so it keeps the emotion a little bit panicky. So we're going to start to see that. But as that starts to flush out, America is going to start to be taking in a massive amount of cash, not to mention the cash that we're not going to be getting screwed for anymore going out, right?
Right.
The cash that was going out being given to illegal people who weren't citizens of America will now be going to help veterans, right? And hopefully the elderly and stuff like that. So,
and they were talking about infrastructure.
And then infrastructure. Drug prices will be going down for America anywhere from 30 to 80%. It's going to be I forgot what it's called, the lowest country or whatever. So whatever the lowest price is in a developed country, not the countries that really need it to be low, in a developed country, the lowest price of that drug, America will be the same price. No more are we going to pay, thousands for a pill, and everyone else is paying, $1 a pill. And so what that means, and again, we have family with it, but if someone does have MS or any of the diseases, the Huntington's disease, any of these that are debilitating, but if you're a regular person and you're not rich, you cannot. There's no way.
Some of the treatment,
and you have to watch your spouse or your kid dwindle away. That's not going to be no more. And that's to me that's amazing to me. That
reminds me of union jobs. I remember when I knew somebody that was working on the Palms when they were building it. The elevator, the union that was for the elevators up, they had a clause in their union policy that said it was called the same as you, same as me. So anything, they covered them so that if any other groups, the glazers, the pipe fitters, whoever, the electrical people, whoever it is, if they had something that was better in their agreement, then if they hired them to work on there, they got it as well. Oh, wow. So I thought that was interesting. So that's kind of what that sounds like with the drug stuff.
And it's really important because again, I can't get over how much some of these drugs are. It is crazy. So those are the regular markets, and it looks like real estate is starting to it's flattening out because interest rates are starting to kind of flatten out a little bit. So it looks like real estate it's probably going to stay cooled off for a little bit. So if you're
we know people in our family that were trying to sell houses that they thought even 6 months ago those houses would have flown off because they're better than average, nicer than average homes, and they're still sitting there months. One of them was months and in a different state, but the other one is in our state and should have really sold it because
especially that area,
it's a dollhouse and it's still sitting there. So the markets are definitely different than they were even 6 months ago. And a year ago, forget it. A year ago, they would have probably been gone almost as soon as they got on the market.
And especially in that area, we had someone here, and when they looked for a house over there, so they just waited. They literally delayed about 3 or 4 hours for just thinking about some options. It was gone.
Yeah,
that's how quick those houses go over there. And it
happened several times, like 7.
Yeah, so it's cooling off, but it will start. That will start to come around as well. And so I would just tell everybody, you could either wait for the markets to kind of shake out, and once you see it bottom out a little bit, it'll create a support level, and you start to see some upward pressure, upward momentum. That's when you'd want to start to to buy in. Again, it's not investment advice. It's just I think it's kind of logical to do that. But that would be a great way to do it if you wanted to be as kind of protective of what you have as possible. And then the crypto market, Bitcoin reached over 110,000. And that's again, and this is what I mean by emotion, the growing optimism. So that doesn't mean that Bitcoin did anything different, that their fundamentals changed. It's the optimism. What is that? A good feeling, right? When you're optimistic, and that's where I hit a new high. So that's what I'm talking about with emotion. When there's optimism in the market, if there's pessimism in the market, that all plays into what's happening. And you can't put a value on that, and you can't say it's guaranteed that that's what's happened. It just happened in the past, and if everything holds true, it'll happen again in the future. And if you can recognize the patterns, you can do really well for yourself. And if you can invent a pattern, that's generational, right? So just when you look at some things to think about is, how are current economic policies influencing the investor behavior across all the different markets? So once you start to ask yourself some of these questions and you can get an answer, then you can see, where the holes in your game. Because I know for me and Lisa were talking about it. We're trying to put a plan together now, because I have to, sometimes you have to get out of the old paradigm on how you were doing things and what you thought. And if you didn't write everything down and you have to get out of that and change your paradigm and put pen to paper, get a plan down, see where the holes are, and ask questions and look in the mirror and find out hold yourself accountable. David Goggins says, look into the accountability mirror and be brutally honest with yourself, right? You can lie to everybody, but if you are, I don't want to say that, but if you were doing the wrong thing and you were, I don't know, stealing pillows, you can say you're piece of shit pillow stealer, and that's what you are. Right, you're a lowlife. You're stealing that poor guy's pillow. Right, that's what you did. That's what you are. Is that what you want to be? If you died today and God came out and you had this whole list of things, John DiMartino was leader of this, led this, helped this, had this initiative, that initiative, and I was like, who's that John DiMartino? And he goes, that was my plan for you. That's the potential I put in you, and you chose to rob pillows and live an average life. And do what you did. Right. So we can all make a pact and say, when I meet my maker or we meet source, and they roll out that scroll of everything you could have been, and you can say you left one thing out. I also did that. That's the kind of meeting you want to have with source, that you didn't throw away your potential. So, but that accountability mirror is kind of where it starts. And sometimes it takes a spouse that has courage that will say it to you. Right. And she likes saying that stuff. She tells me all the time, but in a very, very nice way.
Very, very nice.
Yes. But what's good is that, we always, you always want to work on communicating with each other. And so we do that, but I'm putting a plan together too. It doesn't matter what your experience is. If you were a nurse, if you're a doctor, when things change, technology changes, so do you. And you have to put a plan together, stay ahead of the competition or stay up on the technology so you can help your clients in the right way. Otherwise, if you're not growing, you're going to become extinct, right? That's how it goes. And then what strategies can investors employ or can you employ to navigate a complex financial landscape? So what would that look like? Again, is it getting a mentor? Is it doing research? Is it instead of watching, eating Cheetos and binging on Netflix, maybe you get on the computer and learn AI, or you learn a different technique to do what you're doing and differentiate yourself from the competition, or do some research on the financial landscape and then ask questions of a mentor or someone you think has some credibility, that if they don't know the answer, they're not going to lie to you and they'll go find the answer for you and help you. Then do that. But I think everyone could really, ask just those two questions when it comes to, at a macro level, what you can do to start changing yours and your family's life moving forward, because the change is coming, and we're going to start to really see it. And so, well, what do you think about that?
I think that's a really good idea, and I would say too that it's just staying in the mindset of growth and not allowing yourself to get back on autopilot, because it's really hard to do that and to stay focused in all the time. Sometimes you get, you know, I mean, you're gonna have bad days, you might even have a bad week, but it's to always kind of, you know, get yourself back on track and to stay mindful about what it is that you're doing and your goals. And that's why when you were saying, like, you know, writing it down or doing whatever it is, doing a check-in, you know, with your partner or yourself, and just kind of saying, like, okay, what has the last couple of months been for me, and am I happy with the direction that it's going? Where can I make those changes?
Yeah, and so when you look at what's the hot topic,
Oh,
right?
oh
I had to do it. I
Lord.
had to do it.
Okay, good.
All right. So no. So anyway, what we're going to do? So we're going to move into. We'll go into a cryptocurrency deep dive. So when it comes to XRP and the Ripple platform, so oh, I can see it nice. So when you see the Ripple platform is one of the things. So Trump talked about in particular XRP, Solana, SOL, shit out of luck, and
Now I'll
ADA.
remember that because you just said that.
And ADA, right? So, or Cardano. So those are the three he actually mentioned, but not to leave out, you know, Bitcoin and Ethereum and stuff. But he did name those the crypto specifically
Yeah.
because I think the Ripple platform is there. XRP is starting to get a lot more exposure. One, because it looks like the ETF, right, the exchange traded fund. There's a Bitcoin one already, but it looks like that one's going to be going through. And then Ripple, they just had an acquisition of the brokerage firm Hidden Road for $1.25 billion. And so that's a massive expansion for them. And that's it with institutional services. So that's what XRP is. It's money movement, right, between countries and institutions, not peer to peer, right? So if I was going to send money, Elisa was in Russia and she needed money, I wouldn't use XRP, I would use XLM, right? That's peer to peer. And so, you know, with XRP getting, well, not XRP, well, Ripple acquiring Hidden Road, that's huge because that's right up XRP's alley. That's what that would be doing. And then when you look at the ETF looks like it is launching, and that's going to give investors that may not be up on XRP. They know probably the symbol, maybe they heard it here, but they have no idea what it does or anything about it. This is going to give it far more exposure because it's, you know, an ETF that's you know, that's mainstream investing, right? The mutual funds, ETFs, it's all mainstream stuff. Everybody knows what, you know, or they heard of at least what an ETF is, right? But so that's going to gain a lot more exposure for XRP. It's on a lot of the different exchanges now too, the crypto exchanges. And so along with Solana, ADA, Ethereum, Bitcoin, so these are all going to be, you know, moving in a direction where we're going to continually see upward movement. So again, nothing goes straight up in a line, but I always equate it to if you see a man climbing Mount Everest, right? It's going to go down a little bit, right? Then he's got to come back up. Then it's going to plateau, go back up, plateau. But no matter what's happening, every time you look at him, he's moving higher and higher, even though he's going through some dips and valleys. It's always going up and right. It's going like that. So that's what's gonna, you know, that's what'll start to happen. And again, like what we're going to be doing is the things that we want to start building. You allocate some money, pay yourself first, right? By paying yourself first, that doesn't mean pay the electric bill first. It means if you're going to do some investments, and you're going to do small amounts, right? Every paycheck, whatever it may be, do something, dollar cost average. And even if you're doing $25 a paycheck, that's how you pay yourself first. You'll make your budget work. I promise. Don't buy Starbucks every day, right? There's no reason that it's not that good either, but to spend that much money, there's some people who buy 2 and 3 a day. That's almost $20 a day in Starbucks.
It used to be me. I used to get it twice a day.
That's $600 a month. That's wild.
Yeah.
But for coffee. And so, you know, when you look at it, that $600 a month could get you a massive IUL, index universal life policy. I mean, a really nice one that you would have cash value and everything. It's a throwing away money. And it's on a loony left company anyway. So anyway, some questions also, and there's Solana. So Solana, although I always liked it, that's the one that when I told you I bought it at 24, right? And after about 2 weeks, it was at 36, right? And so I sold it, right? I liked it when I read about it, but it wasn't something that I was just like this. But I knew I just had a feeling it was going to move up, and I put some money that went up, and I sold it. I was like, hey, not bad. So 50% gain in 2 weeks. What a great job. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks after that, I told her, I said, fucking Solana's at 80. I was sorry. Now it's at 190. It was frustrating, but I made 50%, which is nice in 2 weeks. But point being is that you never know where they go, and if you do your research and you find out what they are, and they're solid, they have utility, which Jayse talks about utility. I always say they have teeth in the new world, where they're not just frivolous or just they're not you don't want to get like a meme coin, which some meme coins do have utility. They're all just not a picture, but some of them are. Some of them are little bullshit coins that just they gain in popularity because Kim K has it, right? It's a picture of her butt cheek, and then people go nuts. They go nuts for 1 week, and it does a pump like that. You don't need to be invested in that because it's going to go down just as fast as it went up. And if you're not paying attention every single day, it's just not what you want to do. But if it has utility and you did your research on it, hang in there with it, because a lot of these companies that are small, if they have utility and they're integrating with some of the ADA, Solana, they're on the Ethereum network, or they're on the Ripple platform, or they're getting acquired by one of those, by Ripple. But they have credibility behind them, and so you could stay in those for a little bit. You don't have to worry about always jumping right out. You can take some profits, right? As Woo Do said, you can lick the ice cream, but don't be, you don't have to be so concerned with jumping right out, because over the long haul, I think they're going to do really well. And again, there's not investment advice. I was just telling you one of the things I did where I could have made a lot more money in it. Where are you going to go? And so, what are the implications of Ripple's strategic moves for XRP's future? So again, the strategic moves are what? Buying Hidden Road. So now they have an institutional sized brokerage house. XRP moves institutionally money through between countries, right? So that's a nice connection. And now you have Trump talking about it, right? That XRP is going to be part of the new future. And some of the things that he's putting in this bill, and his bill passed for the taxes, that big, beautiful bill. When things like that start happening, that's when that Jacera thing, but that Nasera, which I started to think was a pipe dream, I learned to keep my mind open. She'll tell you I'm willing to listen to anything, and I'll have an open mind. But at a certain point, I just kind of stopped thinking about it and wasting space about it. But when these things start to happen, it does become more of a possibility that we can see debt forgiveness, when we can see different things that they're talking about happen because of the amount of money that we're recouping, and then money that we're also not spending. You know what I mean? So that's what's out there. So what are the implications of Ripple moves for XRP? So if you feel that their moves are going to be more exposure, so more people are buying it for the upward pressure, so it's going to move up in value, right? If you can say that about whatever you're buying, buy it. And that's not investment advice.
Not financial advice.
That's just opinion. And then, how to do the developments in other major cryptocurrencies impact the overall market sentiment. So when people see Bitcoin, right, even though it doesn't have the technology nowhere near of what XRP has, right, and she'll tell you, I know, I can believe it, but she'll tell you because she knows a lot about Bitcoin's technology. But when you see that stuff, you see Bitcoin hitting 111,000. Then what do? Right? Then you start to see the market go up. Why? Because Bitcoin is like the godfather, right? It's the first one that was unveiled. And so now that's hitting new highs. And by, I don't know, what do you call it? By that alone will start to raise the pricing in the markets. And you'll see the crypto markets go up. You'll see meme coins start to go up. You see the altcoins go up. You'll see all these different types of coin. You'll see them start to move. Even the NFTs, they'll start to move up. Anything that's tokenized, it starts to give the market sentiment, again, that optimism, right? And emotion runs the markets. no different. But the big question that comes to people's mind is, it looks like it's being a contrarian investment or a hedge against inflation, or when the stock market goes down, it looks like cryptos are moving up. And so it looks like they're getting that relationship. Do you think, what do you think? Do you think that because it's mixed with the gold and?
You know what? I'd like to see it more tied to like gold backed stuff. I think that, as far as the market goes, I mean, it's not, I don't think that it's going to go away or anything like that, but I think that there's going to be a big overhaul. That's the big one that, I'm waiting to hear them really decide to take on, because we know that there's a lot of manufacturing going on in the market. So, I don't know. To me, it just feels like all of that stuff is kind of false anyway. And maybe if you want to be in the market about things, I think it would be smart to do it about infrastructure and things that we see that, the administration is specifically talking about. But a lot of the other aspects of the market, I don't know. I don't think I would be buying into those kind of things right now. I would be kind of waiting to see what other overhauls are coming. Maybe you would want to do it with, some of the natural resources type things that you can get into, but new innovation type things. But overall, I think some of those like blue chip things and stuff, I would kind of not be looking at anyway, just because I feel like it's all being held up with, under false pretenses. So if you're going to go into, a crypto, I don't know, I would look at it in and of itself and not really worry about what the market's doing. And then also, gold and silver, I think are just the physicality of it and the benefit that it gives you.
I would say, hopefully when people do see it, they go see that, they go watch this guy, Alex Bloom. But I was selling physical gold for a while, and that was different from when I was selling traditional investments, and I was financial advising and stuff from the 90s through the 2000s until the crash. But when you see the hedge that gold has against the markets, and that was my first instinct. And it's funny how the public acts too. You want to always keep everything in perspective, because even though the markets were moving up and they shouldn't have been moving up, because when you were looking at America, and everybody, this is globally, everybody knew America was at her weakest, right? We were frail. The economy sucked. Everything that was going on was not great, right? But the markets were hitting new highs. And because the markets were hitting new highs, the people I was talking to on the phone, instead of buying gold to protect themselves, right, and maybe taking profits because they know the markets are being propped up, they chose to look right past that, because the psychology of greed started to outweigh the psychology of fear, right? And that's what the markets are about: greed or fear. And like Warren Buffett says, right, when you're fearful, when everybody's fearful, he's greedy, and when everybody's greedy, he's fearful. So, but when you look at, I think what's starting to happen and really start to show itself, and I think you're right, we still have to see how it really shakes out. But it looks like the crypto market is almost like what physical gold is now, that hedge against the markets and uncertainty. And because the markets are volatile and starting to move down, right? They're coming down, the stock market, and meanwhile the crypto market is looking good. So it is being it's kind of hedging against those losses. So that's where I always talk about, it's not that the stock market is bad, because look at all the AI technology and advances that are happening. And it's probably going to get tokenized as well, and it'll be on DeFi. But on the market, right, if you had NVIDIA, you did really well. That was right. That was a leader in AI. So it's not that one's bad and one's good. It's just they serve different aspects of your portfolio, or they should, just like an annuity should, and just like physical gold and silver should. Everything should have its place, and you should always be balanced and not be heavily weighted or make rash decisions where you're just all in one thing because this team is bad and this team is good. That's not the way you want to. You want to be balanced in your approach in that. So just something to think about. And so going through, let's see, I'll speed up with these last couple of things, because I know we've been talking. We're about an hour now. So the regulatory developments, we have the Texas House of Representatives passed the bill to get a strategic Bitcoin reserve, which is awesome. So that's the growing institutional interest in crypto. That's huge. Then what about the adoption, right? Are people adopting Bitcoin? Or not people, but are the institutions adopting Bitcoin? And so you look at major banks and financial institutions are advancing their adoption of blockchain technology by partnering with, and this is about Solana, about the Solana Foundation. So Solana is, Solana is going to be probably one of the ones that stay around. Jayse and I both feel about probably, I don't know, 85% of the cryptos that are out are going to be, they're going to phase out if they don't have a real world use. Because why would you buy them unless they do? And if I'm not talking about the small ones that have a great technology that could be something, that's fine. The ones that have no utility they're just not. There would be no reason to do that. You'll have massive growth in something that is quality rather than having, crossing your fingers for massive growth in something that has nothing behind it. And so how do the regulatory changes shape the future of crypto adoption? And then what role is institutional investors playing in the evolving crypto landscape? So, again, the couple of questions that I wanted to ask at the end of each of the segments is not so much, I don't need your answer here, although if you put it in, it'd be great to share it if people do see it. But it's more for you when you're at home and you're going to make your plan. That's what you want to ask yourself. You want to start to ask yourself some questions that you can actually get some answers to. And it doesn't mean you have to have the knowledge now. You can always research it and, use AI if you have to, but get the research, look at it and answer those questions for yourself and see what you come up with. You may be surprised on how much you can actually learn and what you can do for yourself. And so the emerging trends and technology. So the DeFi, decentralized finance, those are growing and transforming into traditional financial services. And so they're going to start to offer decentralized lending, borrowing, trading solutions. So you can tokenize everything now. So you could tokenize real estate, right? That's like if you slice a house up 100,000 times and you tokenize it, right? That's what that is. And that's what, when you look at Corium and Sologenic, that's on the Ripple platform that we talk about, that's what that is. They're tokenizing, real estate. They're tokenizing physical gold. They can tokenize, ETFs. They can tokenize they can tokenize stocks. There's one coming out, Go Stock, right? Where there's different stocks. You can do anything because it's just an algorithm that you have. But tokenization is going to be probably huge coming in. And I think that's going to be big with the NFTs as well. So it just doesn't have to be, kind of a character or somebody, your Tom Brady NFT, right? It don't just have to be that. You can do, that NFT could be real estate. It can be anything, right? That's the non-fungible tokens. And so I think they'll continue to gain popularity. And again, it's going to go beyond into, like they said, gaming, real estate, intellectual property, and the blockchain is going to be used for, they're saying, to make sure elections are held in a fair way because of how the blockchain technology works. And that's one of the things, a Stronghold has some of the technology for that. And so when you look at this, you look at, what are the most promising emerging technologies in the crypto space? And then how can investors identify and capitalize on these trends? So how can you capitalize on a trend that you may see and identify it, but then capitalize on it? So how are you doing that? And again, if you need help, Jayse is very generous with his knowledge, but to be respectful of what he's, brought to bear in the Conscious Crypto Academy, that's something that you may want to think of. And of course, listen, anything I can do, I can always help you out.
I included the link for him on the description of the video. So if you want to have a call with Jayse, you can find it in the links in the description.
Yeah, and he'll work with you too. Yeah, so he'll do what he has. He's really good. He's a really, really good guy. So I would not send you to anybody who had the wrong tendency behind it. And so just to kind of end where we're going with this is with the the crypto portion here is just, what challenges are you facing in your crypto journey? Is it just the knowledge? Is it that you know some stuff, but you just get nervous to pull the trigger? You don't know how to make a decision. Is it a wallet? You don't know how to get a wallet. You feel it's unsecure if you just have it on a wallet online, and you want to find out about how to move it to a hard wallet to protect it, or is there a company that, whatever it may be. So, but I really would tell you, write it down. Write everything down, and there are we have a little community that we could always go to and talk and find out about stuff as well. So, and if you know people also that are trying to navigate and don't understand, steer them to the channel and let them hear what me and Jayse have to say. And if they need the help, then we'll be happy to do what we can. So just to finish off, what I want to do is I don't want to leave without ever talking about mindset and manifestation, because I think this is where the rubber meets the road with everything. And I would probably a handful of years ago, I would have never said that, because I always thought it was very important, but I would put other things up there. But really, where your mindset is at, and I can attest to a lot of that, because having an investment background, it doesn't, again, that goes out the window if your mindset gets hit, right? If your frequency gets lowered, if you allow toxic people in your circle that lower the vibe, will keep you in a state of drama, and for whatever reason you keep them around, whether they're family or friends, or you're just so nice of a person and you're so appeasing that you let those people in. Because really, the groups that you should be in are people that you have to strive to be better, to reach their frequency, because that's the only way you're going to progress. And usually that would be my circle, and stuff. But in this life, things happen. The journeys we go on happen for a reason, and so what you want to do is be grateful for those journeys. And sometimes it's hard to be grateful, because you want to feel that victimization, right?
Yeah.
But if you can look back on it, and I always talk about, when Colonial Bank went out of business, when I was in the Bank of America interview, what struck them is that I said, for the last 3-4 years when the banks weren't hiring, during it, going through a journey, I wish I would have enjoyed it a little more, but it was a blessing in disguise that happened. All the stress that me and my wife went through, it was a blessing, because my youngest was born, and I wasn't working, and I would have never been there for all this, because I would have been working. I wouldn't have took paternity leave. And I was able to be up every night with Lisa when she would feed the baby, and I would say, yeah, go back bed. And I would hold the baby and burp her, right? And have
change her
and have her fall back asleep on my chest. And I think those bonding moments. And then when Lisa went back to work, and I wasn't working, I couldn't find a job, right, in my area. So I was like trying to do, I was trying to be entrepreneurial. I sucked at it at that time. Really sucked at it, but I was trying. But the great thing about it is I was like Mr. Mom. So we drop her off at work, and we go on merry-go-rounds and walk around the mall, and just we were always together. And I think that created a great bond that I wouldn't have really had with her. And I think it's so, when I look back on it, it was really a great time, because the calluses I built that time, the stress that we moved through as a couple, and how we got stronger, and a lot of couples waned and they started to fight because financial troubles came in the door, so the love went out the window, right? But that didn't happen. We kind of glued together a little bit more, and so it was it really, when I look back on it, what a great thing. And then I look at it and go, if we didn't go through that and build up the calluses and muscles we needed, then what happened when we went through our next thing? That was
like 10 years later, 12 years later.
Even worse, what we have had the fortitude to actually, and the muscles and the callus that were built during that time, well, we have had it to stick it out now. And we can't answer that, but I would probably think not, because if everything was easy for us, like it was before that happened, and because we used to say, people are working on it, what are you working on your marriage for? Like, we don't have to work on it. It's so easy. We got along so good. Until challenges come in, and then you realize, it starts to reveal what character you do have, and then it starts to reveal, did you go through a lot of struggle in your life, or didn't you? And when you saw some smoke, did you run towards it to learn, or did you run away because you didn't want to run into the fire because it was uncomfortable? So you never really got yourself stronger. You were just happy to just keep coasting. And so, you know, those are some of the things that you look at. And so, for whatever you're going through, it's a moment in your life. It's not your life. It's just a moment in your life. And to beat yourself up endlessly about it, and I'm very hard on myself, and so I know a lot of people are. To beat yourself up endlessly about something is never going to serve you. We all, if you messed up or someone messed up that you know, you sometimes you got to take a step back, stay neutral, right, and look at it and say, you know, universe, thank you for putting me in this situation. Now I see why we got here. This was my accountability in it, right? This is what I'm seeing. And then start to take steps to raise your frequency again, right? Don't sit in that, because it'll toxify and it'll just make you worse and worse. And there's no way to be in an abundance mindset when that is happening. But if you're in neutral and you're in gratitude, especially in a bad situation, the abundance that will come from that would be something, it would happen with a quickness that will make your head spin, because the universe will see you putting the work in.
Yeah.
Right? What would you add to some? What would you think?
Well, all of that, absolutely. And just to remember that, you know, you create it to see it, right? So what is it that you're, when this last one, when everything was kind of falling apart and stuff, you remember I kept looking, going like, you know, I was trying to think, what did I do?
Right.
What was it that I did? Because I try to be a good person. I try to have integrity. I try to think of other people, and I kept doing that. And it was just the realization that, you know, sometimes things come into your field because there's something that you need to transmute or work through, and how you show up and present yourself. So instead of getting stuck in that mindset of, you know, on this loop about trying to figure out what went wrong, it's like, what can you be grateful for in that situation that you kind of learned about yourself, what you can do to kind of move forward, and stay in a place where you know that the mindset that you have is going to create the reality that you see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's, and yeah, and she was like, "What did I do? I tried to do this," and I would remember what I was always tell you, you didn't do. That's not.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything. But the reason why she was doing that was because, and the closer it is to home, the closer it is to your heart, the more emotion you have invested in that situation. If I don't care if you're the Dalai Lama, I don't care who you are going to feel it.
Hi, buddy.
Right. And so when that happens, you have to start to, and and you have to stay within yourself, and you have to be protective too of yourself. So how did you meditate when you were in that bad state of mind?
Well, I really struggled, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I really had a really hard time even focusing. It was really just to kind of get my mindset in the right place. But, you know, going back into my heart space, which felt hard because I was frustrated, I was angry, and all of that. So to have that coherence between your heart and your mind, and recognizing that, so I would just kind of call on all the things that made me feel unconditional love. You know, sometimes I would just be picturing my children,
Mm-hmm.
and just thinking about them as babies and all of that, just to draw the feeling where I could open my heart. And then once I got to that space, it was easier to look at the situation and find gratitude in my life, you know, for all of those things. But it was really difficult at times, you know. And then you can call on your happiest moments: giving birth, getting married, having, you know, something fun or silly that would happen, you know, that would kind of make you laugh. And that was the other thing. It was like trying to find humor was really difficult for me, because I'm kind of stoic anyway. Like, you're silly just by nature, but that's a difficult thing for me. I'm wired to be a more serious person. So, you know, watching a show that is nostalgic and that would make me laugh or feel good, I kept saying that to you, like, we have to watch something that's going to make us laugh. We got to watch a comedy or something, because you were more geared toward action things, and I was like, let's watch something funny, because I just needed to be light and feel light. And so that's kind of how I work through it.
And so and so for me, it was laughter and it was music.
Yeah.
And so I would literally, I would drive in the car, and there was certain songs I would listen to, and I'd be gone for
oh my God, he had a playlist of like 11 songs, and he would play them over and over.
But most of the times I was alone in the car.
Okay, but also when we were playing darts, or he was in the shower.
But I would sing in the shower.
Holy crap!
Everybody got a treat.
And over. And I don't even care that you were singing. It was just the same songs. I felt like Groundhog Day. But it's what he needed to do in order for him to stay in that positive. And those are the ones that struck his heartstrings and open up his heart space. So it was, and I remember my guidance saying that to me, remember? Yeah. Because I was just like, why isn't he not doing this? And why is he not doing that? And they were saying he is. It was he's using music, and that's how he's doing that. And I was like, oh, yeah, all right, then I'll stop next.
And that's baby. And that that's where you got to be. Let them. You got to let them be who they're going to be. So no matter what they do to you or around you, whatever it is, it's really that's that. What's the name again? Mel Brooks? No, Mel. The lady, Mel
Robbins.
Mel Robbins. I don't know why I keep forgetting her name because she's really awesome. But she has, it's let them, and it's really let them be who they're going to be. And then you can be who you're going to be. And if you let people or the situation, let it be what it is, you don't have an emotion either way about it then, because you're just letting them do them, right? You can't control it. That's just, you're letting them do them. But then you also could be you, right? And you got to give yourself that and say, what are your options and what do you want to do? Do you want to eliminate that person from your life? Do you want to take a break for a couple of months? Do you want to help them through it? Whatever it is. But at least you're making the decision, right, buddy? That's what we did with you, buddy. We took you. And so getting back to it, if the abundance mindset, you want to, cultivate a positive and abundant mindset to attract financial opportunities. Visualization techniques are great. And using, you want to use your mind's eye, right, to set and achieve financial goals that they're already achieved. It's already done. You already, have your Mercedes from it, or you're already, buying your home, whatever it may be. It's done. It's a done deal. And if that was true, that you hit your goals that you really wanted, how would you move through your life different than you are today? Would you be slumped over, breathing shallow, not looking at people in the eye? Right? Or when you walk in somewhere, would your shoulders be back, breathing normally, looking people straight in the eye with confidence because you feel you achieved your goals, and how everything, what that would bring, where would that bring your resonance to too? You people would feel your presence walk in the room, right? So that's where you want to get to. And then your affirmations are so important, and it leads into the Grabavoy codes as well, where if you implementing daily affirmations to reinforce like the confidence you have in your financial plan and the clarity of it, right? So when you write a plan out, be very, very descriptive and clear, very clear, and put it out there, right? But the affirmations are great. And that's why I would say, even if the Grabavoy code that you put in doesn't do everything you think it should do, what you have to do if you're doing the process correctly is throughout the day, you're reading affirmations about yourself. And if you can do that affirmation, those things are so powerful, because through the day, everything feels like through the day, through marketing, 5G and everything else, just life stresses, work, a asshole boss, whatever it may be, right? What'll happen is your emotions, right, are going like this, and your frequency is getting lower and lower and lower. But if you're doing affirmations throughout the day and you're already achieving it, it's already achieved, it's already done, you already did it, and you're affirming that throughout the day multiple times, it's very hard for anybody to take you too far down where you can't course correct quickly. So I would implore you to do that and keep those around you. And so how does your mindset influence your financial decision making? So it's really a really important question to ask, because the way you're feeling is going to be what decisions you make and how clear you can be on a decision you're going to make, or if you're going to be in paralysis. And the second one is what daily practices can help you maintain a positive financial outlook. So regardless of your financial situation now, because what we're saying is whatever your financial goal is, you already hit it. So if you already hit your financial goal, right, to maintain anything you're doing now, to be in your if your budget isn't working now, right? If you have too much month and not enough money, right? And that's what keeps happening. Instead of feeling the pressure of that, if you can keep yourself in a positive mindset, so like Dobby's goal was to make my arm drenched.
Oh.
Oh, see, now he put his paw up on it.
Oh.
All right, buddy, you did good. But again, what are those daily practices you can do to maintain a positive outlook? And if you already achieved it, that shouldn't be an issue. It's easier said than done, but if you can get there, you will be on a track to really do well. Dobby.
Let's finish because we're good enough.
Yes. So I just wanted to give you these two codes. I asked for a couple of them here, and the knowledge and inner wisdom. This is important because what we're talking about is knowledge and inner wisdom to make the best decisions for you and your family, and gaining knowledge on, say, crypto, right? And how you would do that. And so the code 7819015, and you're using it for enhancing clarity, absorbing information, strengthening your memory, and assessing or accessing deeper intuitive insight, right? The suggested practice would be repeat silently or aloud, preferably aloud with meaning, right? And you want to do it in morning, afternoon, evening. And you want to do it, I would do it aloud. If you have to do it silently, fine. But do it in your morning focus time or while reading or learning. Visualize the numbers glowing with light and flowing into your crown chakra or your third eye. And I make it really big. I stretch them, I make them huge. But the next one I did was radiant health and physical alignment. The code is 918-794-8181, and you use it for activating your self-healing, vitality, cellular renewal, and physical energy. And again, the best practice would be say the number slowly while inhaling and exhaling in nice breath, right? You go all the way in for 8. Yep, all the way in for 8 and all the way out. Just breathe it all the way out. And then sometimes if you want to reset, you breathe in, and when you breathe out, you can do a couple like that, right? Like Soretta does. And so that's great to do to start, but then you want to get your rhythmic breathing going. And then place one hand over your heart and imagine each digit aligning your cells with your well-being and your ease.
So let's just wait really quick. Let's just give them one more time. So the first one is for, scroll down for me, or scroll up. I know, but I want to say what it is first. No. Knowledge and inner wisdom is 781-9015. Knowledge and inner wisdom 781-9015. And then the other one is radiant health and physical alignment, and that's 918-794-48181. Radiant health and physical alignment 918-794-8181.
Yep. And I did that because if you're off health-wise, it's very hard to stay in a good mindset because you feel like good.
And I know that because I'm going through my own health stuff.
Yes.
It's very hard.
So before we wrap up on this episode here, so let's align ourselves with 2 powerful frequencies. Again, the first one we did is the 781-9015. For those of us that are trying to constantly learn, like me, I'm always trying, she'll tell you, I'll be up 3 a.m. trying to learn something. May your mind stay sharp and open. And the second is the 918-794-8181.
Which will help me.
And that helps us stay strong and healthy because what good is wealth if you can't enjoy it in a vibrant body? That's really... That's it. I wanted to make sure we got through that last part because I think that again that's the most important thing that we do. So stay in a good mind frame, everybody, and look out. I'm going to just do a recording for the John drop. It should be coming, I guess, over the next.
Yeah, we're going to have a few of them because I have Arcturus Raw. I interviewed Craig Walker, which was a really, really good one. We've got that one going. Sunday we'll have our live.
Yeah.
That we're going to have, and then. We're going to have Nikki Anna Jones on. So that's going to be exciting. Probably next Thursday, we're going to have her. Oh, wow. Hey, Lori. How are you? Good to see you here. Thank you for coming in. And so we'll have her on, and then we're working on one more that's agreed to be on, but we haven't set a time yet. And that's Laura Van Tyne. So I'm really excited to speak with her as well.
Yeah, she's I can't wait to meet her.
Both of them.
Online.
Yeah, both of them are amazing women. I'm really excited about both of them.
I don't think I've met either so far.
Oh,
all right, buddy. I get it.
Our dog is loving him too much, I think. But
Anyway,
so that was great. Thank you for inviting me to come on with you.
Yeah, that was cool. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
But I will see you guys again. Look for the recording coming out for the John Drop, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.